Hello and welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor Russ Stevens and Uncle Joe McLaughlin. Well, we have another great show for you tonight. So, boys, let's get it started. Let's start with the Boston Celtics. Let's start with the most positive news in Boston sports. We thought that quite possibly this would be a layup. I'm not going to jinx anything, but boys, this doesn't even feel like the playoffs against the Atlanta Hawks. This feels like almost exhibition season. And the fact is, we needed this. We needed the round of the playoffs to be a layup because we've got the Sixers and the Bucks lurking, and we need all the rest and good love we can. Russell.
Yeah, I agree with that. We know what happens to this team, late in the playoffs. They faded last year, and the guys still, the guys played a lot of minutes again this year. And so, look, in the end, last year, you could sit there and say, well, Rob was hurt, or Smart was hurt, or Jason Tatum faded. Had they closed out that Miami series or the Milwaukee series early when they could have saved 3-4 games on themselves and that kind of wear and tear, and they probably would have beaten Golden State.
Yeah, right. Joe, Bobby Portis rebound off a missed free throw.
Oh, that was disgraceful.
That, could that have been, like Russ said, the impetus to end up losing the finals to Golden State because we were just exhausted?
Oh, I've always said we beat the Bucks 5 games out of 7 in that series. It really wasn't as close as a 7-game series should have been. They should have dispatched them in 5 or 6, but they didn't. So they had to pay the price against Golden State, and Tatum was just washed up by then.
In the NBA, you are who you are after a few years in the NBA, Russell. But Derek White is taking it to another level here. We didn't pay the price of what a quality player that Derek White has been this season.
No, I mean, you just got to give Brad so much credit for seeing that not only a guy that could be useful, but the guy that had upside. We thought, okay, he'd be useful. He's a useful role player, right? But clearly, Brad saw that, with the proper amount of minutes and training and put him a good team around him, he's a legitimate top third of the league starting guard in the NBA right now, period.
Yeah. Says a lot, Joe, right?
Yeah, I kind of wonder about Popovich. Is he getting soft in the head? He got rid of D. White. DeJounte Murray is probably the best player on Atlanta. Jalen Brunson's the best player on the Knicks. He gets rid of an all-star.
Oh, he didn't have Brunson. Brunson was the Mavericks, Joe.
Oh, that's right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. But no, yeah, you're a great point. Yeah, I mean, they're just looking for, obviously draft picks and stuff, but the Celtics weren't the right team to go to, Brad, Russ. If, you don't go to Brad, a guy who's going to end up being, 29th, 30th pick in the draft.
Yeah. Well, look, the other thing, though, Joe, the one thing I would say is San Antonio pretty much at that point in time made the decision to tear it down, right? They're clearly, I mean, I think they're
after that
came in third to last this year. Right. So, I think he likes Brad. They like dealing with each other. They traded White. They got a first-round pick. Remember, they got an unprotected pick from the Celtics. It's only top unprotected in a few years. So. Yeah. It was considered to be an overpay at the time, by the way. When we got White, it was considered largely to be a good role player, but we overpaid.
Yeah, Jay Rich was well regarded around the league and on the team too. He was like an unofficial captain.
They gave the first round pick from last year, and then a pick swap. Yeah. What 3, 4, 5 years down the road?
Yeah, like 27.
And then Jay Rich, and then Langford.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they gave him a...
no, yeah, it was Langford, Jay Rich, and the pick. Yeah, Langford, Jay Rich, and the pick. Yeah.
And the pick swap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have...
I think
it wasn't, but he has been worth every penny.
Oh, my... You think? I felt like he was the best.
The other trade for Brogdon, who I might add is, I think, going to be announced as the 6th man of the year on the TNT broadcast tonight.
Oh, that's awesome. Look, I would say that Derek White was the best player on the court. Would you say that on game 2?
Yeah, I think he was. He was one of the top 2 or 3. in game one, and he was probably the best player in the court. I mean, he's our third best player right now. Does anyone argue with that?
No.
Yeah, no, I know it's shocking. I mean, this is just
Amazing,
a
right?
late result, right? I mean, I would have said that we had said that Brogdon was our third best player, right? During the season?
No.
No. I think probably it was
We were
probably
hoping
pretty
for
close
Rob.
call between White. Horford had a really nice year. I mean, Horford shot 45% from three. He was the leading 3-point shooter in the NBA. Horford.
Oh no, he was fantastic, Russ, but he played I can't believe he even played like 60 games. D White was there every night. I mean,
Horford played more than 60 games, but I get it. We're saying all the same thing.
Yeah.
Like these are
Yeah.
But you
great
have
arguments to have.
in those guards, in the 3-point guards, if we're going to call them Brogdon, White, and Smart, you have the three of the strongest 6'5" guys in the league. I mean, you can't. These guys pretty much go where they want to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
And can defend them in the same way too with their size.
so Brad was not afraid to have duplicate skill sets, and he has, in some level, 3 duplicate skill sets.
You never see Smart on the weak side though. Yeah, I mean, it's not a duplicate.
But I mean, they're similar type players, similar in height, strength. Obviously,
Yeah.
I mean,
But they played very different games.
but he wasn't afraid of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Brogdon and White are more the traditional point guards, bringing it up, playing on the weak side. But they have a plethora of guards. You could throw Jaylen Brown in there as a guard too. They got 4 solid guards.
And obviously it was hit and miss during the regular season, Russ. But having Rob Williams in there, I mean, it changes.
Look, I mean, first off, Atlanta's really not a great basketball team. They've had 20 games under their coach. They're barely serviceable as a playoff team, and they're not very physical. So it just is a great matchup for the Celtics. And Rob Williams is healthy, and Derek White has confidence, right? And like everything, it's all systems go right now. But you got to knock on wood because Rob comes down, twists his knee. We're not winning the championship.
No,
I'm sorry. Right.
But another thing is Tatum is finally coming around. His 3-point percentage is going up, where he was abysmal most of the year.
Yeah, you're right, Joe. Before I forget, Missoula playing the fellas late in these games when they're up by 20 points with 2 minutes left, and one of those guys.
The scoring average. It's all about he wanted to win total points.
Joe, Rob Williams gets hurt in that 2-minute time, they will literally hang Joe Mazzulla from the nearest pole.
Well, he's been pretty conservative with Rob. He doesn't have him starting
taking it easy
anymore. He
on
brings
Rob.
him in off the bench when he's going against second-tier players, so he can really dominate without having to really push himself.
Look, okay, guys, the question is, what happens that we lose in a 7-game series? What will happen to make us lose a 7-game series? What has to happen?
Injuries. I mean, look, here's the deal though. Like, once we get into a 7-game series with Philadelphia, we'll be the favorites. We have home court advantage.
Mm-hmm.
We beat them, pretty regularly. But like, game 6 is going to be in Philadelphia, right? So do I think that series is going 6 games? Yeah, I think that series is going 6 games. Could Philly win a game 6? Absolutely, because it's going to be on their home court. Mm-hmm. So like, we could be fully healthy and lose a 7-game series to the Milwaukee Bucks. They have the best player on the planet.
Right. Who gets all the calls? Joe
gets calls. Middleton's great. I mean, they did better than us in the regular
season. Bobby Portis is a great player. They got some good. I hate Grayson Allen, but they've got some really good players.
The Celtics, Joe. I've never seen him do one good thing when he plays the Celtics. But I just, do you guys, Joe, do you feel like Middleton's the same player that he was a couple years ago?
The last couple times we played him, he hasn't looked the same. And in the last game, he left with the bad knee. Remember, he left it early in the third quarter, I think.
Yeah. Look, that Holiday, he scares me a lot.
He's a good player.
He really is.
And he can shut down our guards too. He's an exceptional defensive player too.
Yeah, he's better than Brogdon, and I love Brogdon. But you know that, and he kills the Celtics. They'd have no answer for him. And I feel like he stands out almost as much as Giannis in the games the Celtics have been playing lately, where he's just coming down. They get down by 6 or something, and he just a couple of 3-pointers, and then they're back.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that can bring him back quick with those. He's a good sharpshooter.
You look, these next 2 series, I mean, Philly's window is a lot narrower than ours, right? And Doc's on the hot seat. They're going to throw everything at that series. Philly is, because if Philly goes out in the second round this year, that's a big loss for them. A big loss.
That might be the end of Doc in Philly.
Yeah,
if they do.
I think so. Yeah.
I just think that Embiid is such a, he's an incredible player. I think he's top 10 in the history of the NBA, and I don't think he gets that play. But
he's a dominant big man, like many of the big men have been.
Yeah. But he just, it's exhausting being Embiid, that size.
It is.
Deep in the playoffs, and they lean on him so heavily. I think by the time even the second round gets around, he's almost tapped out.
They just set up layers of walls. Everyone hits him as he comes through, and he always gets the call, but he pays
our
the
depth
on the line.
Yeah, they don't have the depth that we have. I mean, and ultimately the biggest advantage that we have in these playoffs is we just have depth. We haven't even played Grant Williams yet. He'll be in the Philly series. He'll play in the
Isn't he
series.
He's a luxury to throw 6
We
balls.
just keep sending Paul, because remember, like every player other than Grant in our top 8 is got a size, athletic advantage, right? Like all of our guys are really like 6'5". Derek White 6'5", Brogdon 6'5", 6'6", Smart is 6'4".
House is
right?
6'8", is it?
Hauser's 6'8". We just keep sending big athletic dudes out on the court against these guys.
I know we do, and they post him up. You saw in game 2, lots of layups, lots. The 3-pointers weren't going in early on, and they adjusted. And I felt that was give the props to Mazzulla. He made sure that they just didn't sit there and shoot 3-pointers all day.
That's right. Yeah, took it to the rim. They just keep taking it to the hole.
And
well, that's the best way to attack that Atlanta team. Just go right.
No answers, Joe. They had no answers.
They don't have the rim protector,
No, and they didn't. They're not particularly interested, to be honest with you. That's a team. Not
and our guards can post up Trey at any time they want. Actually,
Yeah, we talk about the Heat. Russ, you still there?
I'm still here. I'm in the middle of cooking something, so I gotta just stir it. Sorry, guys.
Okay, because we just have that lovely picture of you. Look, I'm a firm believer, and I know Joe is not as much about team matchups, just programs do better against other programs. We do well against the Sixers. We have historically, and nothing that with Embiid in there has been proven that we shouldn't be able to handle them.
Well,
have we won 9 out of the last 10?
Yeah, I mean, look, Embiid has something to prove in the playoffs, guys. I mean, he's never been to a conference championship, and he's had some clunkers, right? And so he's got a lot to prove. That's what I mean when I said, this Philly's going to throw everything they can against us this series, because Embiid's playing for his legacy at this point in time. He's no spring chicken. Doc's on the hot seat. James Harden, his playoff legacy is in shambles, right?
I think they're better off going, feeding Maxey and Harris and going that way with than going with Harden. Harden looks like he's hurt to me.
He's a defensive liability too.
Well, he's not too interested in playing defense right
Yeah.
now. I think he's slowed up. He's got something wrong with him.
I mean, it'll be a fun series. I mean, again,
Yeah.
sports is entertainment, and we want to be entertained. That'll be a fun series.
Well, that's when Grant will get his chance to play. You know, get the big body leaning on Embiid first, tire him out.
If Joe Mazzulla could have a truth serum, and they said Grant can be on the team next year or not be on the team next year, Russ, what would he answer?
How much am I paying him?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think
Do you
if they
think
get him
Mazzulla
for,
cares about that? But I mean,
yeah, of course he does, because that means one less guy. You know, if they get him for a decent amount of money, or he feels like it's a good value, then they may open up another roster spot or something like that. You know,
Money is
I don't
what
think he
determines
hates him.
depth. Money determines depth.
but Joe, he's lost money. He has lost money.
Oh, 100%, no doubt. Yeah.
Less.
yeah.
I mean,
He should have taken that offer they gave him, but
what was it, 13?
but he, maybe he wants to start and he can start on another team. And that might be what he's looking for.
There's always a Charlotte that will give him stupid money, right? And look, they gave Rozier stupid money. They gave Hayward stupid money. He just feels like he's going to Charlotte at like 17 for 4.
Your favorite smelly Kelly Olynyk is still in the league,
Yeah.
making big dough.
Maybe. I don't know, guys. Like, he's getting DNP'd in the playoffs.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of teams with a lot of cap money this year. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Does he play a key role moving forward in this season? Does he go
Yes, against Philly?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's Luskatov. He's Lusky.
Philly and Milwaukee. I mean, he's no one for him to play against in this Atlanta series. There's no one that, they need his strength and whatever. But you put him against Philly, he'll play some minutes against Embiid, and then we know what he can do with Giannis. So he'll get plenty of time. They've just chosen Hauser this series over him.
Yeah, he's perfect because he keeps Rob and Al out of foul trouble and keeps Al from having to mix it up too much. He takes the hits, he gives the fouls, and the other guys can reap the glory.
What I noticed in the first 2 games is that Jason Tatum's taking the responsibility of rebounding quite seriously. Mm-hmm. And I felt like he's ready to go back in the down and dirty places. And that's a superstar. And I felt like that, really, if you go back in the tapes, he's in the mix for rebound almost every shot.
Well, they have to. That's the only way that that's
Atlanta's
Atlanta beat Miami, right? Like, they just pounded them on the offensive boards, and the only way they're going to beat the Celtics is to take a whole bunch more shots than the Celtics.
But makes sense, fellas. I mean, he's 6'10", get the longest arms since Kevin McHale. He's a freak, and he's a strong kid, Tatum. So he should be getting 8 to 10 rebounds a game.
Yeah, but the physical game isn't his game. He's more of a finesse player, and he has the athletic ability to be so. And there's no need for him to really play the muscle game.
Does he make the first All NBA team?
Oh, yes. Close. That's a given. Oh, he's a given on the he's an absolute lock solid given on the first team All NBA.
Are they doing that? No positions this
not
year,
yet.
or is that next year?
No, not yet. That's next year.
And early returns. Maybe I mentioned this last week. I think I made early returns have Jaylen Brown as
on the third team.
Third.
On the third
second.
Team,
yeah.
Yeah.
That will be good because Jaylen will be very happy with the max, super max.
That's a lot of money.
That's a hell of a lot of money. What is it? How much is it?
$50 million a year.
Oh, I mean, it's a lot. It starts at I think he gets up to 35% of the salary cap. So it's an enormous number. Yeah.
And Wick will be happy to pay it, I think. Keep him.
Yeah.
Well, as long as they're competing for championships, he'll be happy to pay for it.
Yeah. All right, boys. Next game is when the Celtics play next?
Friday. Tomorrow night we have double.
Oh, yeah.
We have Bruins and Celtics.
Bruins and Celtics. We're going to go to the Bruins' second in line tonight. Almost probably never has the Bruins ever been
No.
second in line. Is it time to panic?
Oh no.
No.
They felt like it felt like they got out toughed yesterday.
It wasn't so much how tough the defense just played terrible. Charlie McAvoy, worst game I ever saw him play. He was
The
directly
defense, I totally-
responsible for two or three goals. Carlo had
yeah.
a terrible giveaway.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I'd like to see come back. Get Grizzlick back there.
Mhm.
He'll move it out better. He'll get it through the neutral zone. He'll set up the offense better.
Yeah.
If he gets hammered, so be it. But until then, we'll have someone moving the puck.
And what, forward sits?
Yes,
I
exactly.
mean, you can't even.
He
You
was
don't
awful.
even feel the. You don't even feel the defensemen in the series so far. They're just invisible. Lindholm, McAvoy, put Grizzlick in, get the puck out. They just turn the puck over all night long.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
night long.
It,
Too many turnovers. It was like they were playing like the Celtics.
it was, and the forwards weren't doing their job either, but it was all the goals against were directly result of the D men just not doing their job.
And Russ, you made a great point in our text thread game one that it seemed like they were just shooting at the net. All of a sudden, the goalie, the Panthers goalie gives up a soft goal, and they just figure they just shoot it at the net, and that's
Yeah, fire away, go north south, put pucks on the net, get a rebound. Like there's nothing. I don't. Last night was just. I'm not worried. They can still get back. They're so good, and you need Bergeron back. I mean, it's a big loss.
I don't think he's
Everything's-
coming back for anytime soon.
Is that right?
Yeah.
yeah. Did he even travel with the team today?
No,
He did
didn't go.
not.
Really?
Yeah, they showed I saw a clip of him skating around the ice, and he had to stop after about a minute.
Is it a concussion?
No, I think
No,
it's more like a
upper body, as they say. So
oh
it can be
upper
any-
body. It looked like it was a groin or
Yeah.
something.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah.
was worried it might be his that punctured lung again.
Oh, is that right?
Neither of them are good.
Didn't you see that clip of him with his hands on his knees, gasping for breath?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
right. That was the clip. Yeah. Wow. That's just who knows? But that's not good. And then are we to suppose that he got this injury playing the last game of the season against Montreal?
Yeah. I
Because that
guess
was-
so.
That's just pure negligence by Jim Montgomery. We said this on that show before. You needed to rest guys like Montgomery, Bergeron,
Mhm.
and the
They
last
had rested Bergeron for a couple games during that last couple of weeks there, just not the Montreal game.
well, I mean, if Bergeron is out, indefinitely, can they win playoff hockey?
Yeah, they can win. It's just going to be harder. Their margin
Yeah.
for error goes down.
I think that Bertuzzi, I keep on saying Bertucci because I have food in my mind, but Bertuzzi, I feel like he's been the best player on the Bruins the first two games. Am I wrong?
Oh, I love watching him
Seems
play.
it.
He's a great offensive player, and does it with a little snarl. Loved him stealing the stick the other night there.
Yeah. Right. Russ, would you agree?
He's been terrific. Yeah, he's been terrific. Nothing wrong with him, but that's why everyone's a little bit out of place, and I think they're just a little bit off with their passes, their turnovers.
Well,
But I don't
Krejci
think it's
coming
a panic
back kind
time.
of screwed things up. Remember, Pasta was scoring at the time. He was scoring more than he'd ever had in his life with Bertuzzi and Vash. Now with Krejci come back, things are a little different.
Yeah, but right. But you also don't have Bergeron, so you just
Yeah.
they're going to be fine. They'll get it together. They're a better team. Look, if they lose the next game, then I think you start to get concerned. But
Oh, and by the
they'll-
way, they had an emergency call up today. That Steen, they called
Mhm.
him up from Providence on the emergency basis to put him on the roster. So that means someone. That's why
Well,
I'm
there's that
figuring
stomach bug
Bergeron
that's
got
been
left
going-
home because he must
there's a
have had to
stomach
go
bug
with
that's stomach bug going through the team too, which probably is not helping matters. So I don't know. They're the best team in hockey. Let's give them a few games to sort of let the cream rise to the top.
Yeah, they were just looking a little just out of sorts all the way across the board. Just not the usual effort that you expect from them.
Yeah, well, obviously, like you said, tomorrow and is key. Will Elmark play or will it go to Swayman?
I think it'll be Elmark.
Yeah.
But if they lose game 3, you're going to see Swayman.
Maybe. Yeah, that would be the point you'd bring him in, right?
Right. So you guys were under the impression that they before the series started that they were going to alternate. And so that's not been the case, obviously.
No, that hasn't.
Yeah, which might be different where Elmark has gotten used to only playing, 1 or 2 games a week. And but if you change now, you're telling the team you have no faith in the goalie.
Who needs to play better?
The defense.
The defense. Yeah, I'm with Joe. I think Lindholm, Orlov, McAvoy.
Lindholm was terrible too last night.
Carlo. The defense has just been hemmed in.
All of them.
Yeah, the defense has been hemmed in and have not been able to sort of get the puck out on people's sticks without fumbles or turnovers. They're just hemmed in. They gotta just get themselves out of the zone. I think your point about Grzelcyk is the right one.
The first game, the forecheck was just tying the Bruins up. They got away with it in the first game. The second game, they didn't get away with it. So, but by the way, I thought Marchand played a hell of a game last night.
He was better last night. Yeah.
He was skating his ass off. The line didn't do well, but he was skating his ass off.
We talk about Missoula, but Montgomery doesn't have great playoff experience, does he? I mean, do we have faith that he can make the proper adjustments?
Yeah, he's a veteran coach. He's coached a bunch of games. They're not going to lose because of Montgomery. Look, could they lose because Montgomery sticks with Ullmark too long, and goes to the mattress with him? And Ullmark I don't think Ullmark played great yesterday, by the way. They needed a couple of saves out of him that he didn't make.
Well, I think he made them early, but then when they kept giving up those crappy giveaways, he kind of lost interest in the game. But you're right. He might stay with them too long, kind of Grady Little with Pedro,
Well, Panthers got their wipeout. I got to believe in this series we get one. We get a wipeout.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't, right? It feels like we get a 6-2, 6-3 game.
It's going to happen. We're going to, I just, again, if they lose this next game, we're going to be beside ourselves. But even if we lose this next game, the series isn't over. I mean, we can win the next 12 games.
Yeah.
That's the way we played this year.
We got to take care of their best players like Kachuk and Bennett. You got to get a nice close check on them. No letting them run free. Kachuk has just been like a loose cannon out there. He's had his free reign on the ice.
That's
time to put him, take him down a peg.
Yeah, Joe, that's a great point, but that's why I'm a little concerned, fellas, to be honest with you, because though they won that first game, I felt there were a lot of signs of
oh yes,
what they could, the adjustments they could.
I don't think they played well. Yeah,
the game 2. So they saw a lot of holes, and they didn't make any adjustments. They got a hell of a lot.
I don't think they played well in game 1 or game. I thought they played. Ironically, I actually thought they played better for the first period and a half in game 2. I thought they were dominating most of the first half of that game. They had a couple of turnovers that went against them. They got blown out in the third period.
It was tied going into the third period, and all year the third period has been their best period. And I was flabbergasted that they just totally shit the bed. But
if they lose this series, I would.
Oh, that would be. They're not gonna. But
I would explain it to you.
First round, that would be a
big disappointment.
I would explain it to you by. I felt like they pulled the Patriots in 2007. I felt like they expended way too much energy trying to get the record-breaking record.
Do you remember when the Lightning set the record a couple of years ago? They
lost. They got swept by
in
Columbus.
The first round. Was it Columbus or Carolina?
Yeah, Columbus. They were swept. 4 games.
The eighth seed took them out.
Yeah. So I'm a little concerned, fellas. I just felt like there was just too much, and also a little too much pomp and circumstance about that record too. And lots of celebrating, and we don't need to celebrate. The playoffs is you have to win 16 games. I mean, so we'll see what happens. What I see the statistic, only 4 teams that won the President's Cup have ever won the Stanley Cup.
There's only been the President's Cup for like the last 15, 16 years, though.
It's still only 4, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's a relatively new trophy. I don't know how long it's been, but it hasn't been around long.
Yeah, well, we're only looking for 1 trophy here. All right, boys, we're going to the New England Patriots. We'll finish it. We'll go to the Red Sox at the last. We're going to the New England Patriots 1 week from the draft today.
Yep.
You guys excited?
It's always a fun night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stay up all night. Stay up until at about 11:30. You find out the Patriots traded back into the day 2.
I know you, and yeah, right. You have to really review your life at that point and wonder if it's worth living anymore. What have you done this evening? I'm just almost sure that they're going to trade down from the 14th pick.
Mm-hmm.
Trade down.
Yep. It certainly feels like that, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
They got a lot of draft capital this year, and they've got a lot next year too. So they have something to work with if they want to move up at any point.
Well, if you trade down, you better get a 2nd-round pick. That's all I'm saying.
Well, they always seem to trade. I think they've moved.
They move around the board.
Joe, they've moved up more than they've moved down over the last 20 years.
That's
meaning
true.
They'll trade down out of 1, but then they'll start moving up in the 2nd round and the 3rd round and the 4th round to get their guys. So I don't know.
Like that year when they moved up for both Hightower and Jones, they went up twice in the 1st round.
Yeah,
I think they want one of those quarterbacks to be left at 14, and then start having the rest of the
quarterbacks. Like one was left
That'd
at
be
50.
awfully nice.
Quarterbacks start bidding.
No, none of those good guys are going to be there at 14.
Well, they brought in, they played their role today. They brought in Will Levis for a visit that at least shows the world, like, hey, if Will Levis is there, we might be interested. If Will Levis is there, you better come talk to us because we may just take him.
Yeah. Do they have the balls to take him?
Of course. Yeah.
Changes everything.
Robert Kraft be damned.
Well, no, look.
He got the Mac Jones pick. They can get their own pick.
Would you agree with this statement? If they draft a quarterback, Levis at 14, Mac Jones will be traded that night.
No one would give you anything for him, so no.
No, I think I'm with Joe. I think they bring him in. I think they'd probably start him. I don't think they'd start Will Levis this year. I think it would be, bring him in, get him coached up, give Mac the first 7 games, see how he's doing. And if he's not doing a good job, you yank him for Levis halfway through the year.
I think a lot of this stuff with Levis and Bailey Zappi, I mean, it's just to smack Mac Jones, the smirk off his face when he thinks he's the king doing 100 different commercials instead of doing his job.
Oh, but you're not going to draft a quarterback in the 1st round and lose that,
hey, they might really
fire your other quarterback. Come on, I can't believe.
Yeah, but you can't get anything for Mac. You couldn't get anything for Mac right now.
If Levis gets drafted, he's ultimately your starting quarterback year 2.
Mm-hmm.
Year 2,
yes.
Just like Rob said, year 2, not this year.
Then we're gonna call him Mac Jones's nickname is gonna be Mr.
Lane Duck.
Yeah,
yeah.
Quack quack.
Yeah. That's fine.
Hey, it might light a fire under him, and he would actually start eating.
Exactly right.
It was a total lack of competitiveness last year. He thought he had the job for life.
But you're not gonna
acted that way.
All right, I can light the fire at a 3rd round pick, but not at a 1st round 14th pick.
He needs a fire under him. He needs it in the worst way.
Okay, push has come to shove, fellas. Who are we drafting in the 1st round? Give me. This is it. This is our mock draft. Russell first. We have to say we're picking number 14, so we're going to pick 14th, Russell. Who's it going to be?
I think they'll pick the offensive lineman from Ohio State, Paris Johnson.
Oh, all right.
If they pick at 14, I think they're picking an offensive tackle.
All right. Remember your pick from for next week. We're getting a little older, Russell, so we don't remember these things. Timmy is usually here to write it down. All right, Uncle Joseph.
Oh, all the mock drafts have us taking now either one of the three cornerbacks, Witherspoon or Joey Porter Jr. But I'd rather see them go offensive tackle, like Russ says, but they never do what we think they're going to do. They always zig when we think they're going to zag. And I'll go out on the limb. I'll say they'll take the running back.
Oh, what?
Because they always do something you don't expect, especially in the first round.
Bjorn, what's his name? Bjorn Robinson?
Yeah, the kid from Texas.
Yeah. Wow.
Or they might be able to make a trade with Dallas.
No, we're not talking trades. We're not talking trades. So
but if they wanted to trade back, that's their opportunity, because Dallas wouldn't want him to get. He would replace Ezekiel Elliott. They love themselves a good, solid Texas running back.
Yeah, I think they're going to go Broderick Jones out of Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, if he's there, he'd probably be the guy they'd pick over Paris. I just figure the Paris guy is. I figured Jones is going to go before 14.
And the whole coaching staff was at the Ohio State Pro Day, and they weren't just there for the wide receiver.
No, but Broderick Jones was there at the Senior Bowl, and if you remember, last year, a lot of the picks that the Patriots took were out of that Senior Bowl. They were the coaches this year.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
they weren't the coaches at the Senior Bowl. They were at the Shrine Bowl.
Shrine.
Yeah.
They had a big presence at the Senior Bowl. They always do. They like Dante Scarnecchia always goes to the Senior Bowl every year, and he went again this year.
Look, that's giving a cookie to not only Mac Jones but Bill O'Brien. You bring Bill O'Brien in, and you're giving the first round pick. You're giving it. I think you yield to Bill O'Brien, and you give him a tackle. You give him a tackle.
Joe, how many years has it been straight they've drafted an offensive player with their first pick? I think it's like 5 or 6, right?
Yeah. I think maybe going back to that Hightower Jones double play there.
Well, N'Keal Harry was just offensive, Russ. That's all. Oh,
well, it is.
You really had to bring him up.
Players do have. You have to get.
You really had to bring him up, didn't you?
Is he the worst number one pick of all time now?
That was brutal.
Yeah,
that was just brutal.
Worse than
Trevor Maddich. Maddich was
pretty bad. Easley was really bad too.
Easley at least played in the NFL.
Game day. Ken Sims was.
Oh God,
he was number one overall.
He was the worst.
And he was a complete bust. And then the other one, how about the kid that was the linebacker? Really great, but then he hurt his neck and he was done.
Oh, right. Clayton Wallace-Soon? No,
it was Katzenmeyer.
That's it. Andy Katzenmeyer.
Yeah, right. That was kind of a reach, if I remember correctly.
Oh, he was well regarded as just an animal, coming out of college, and just never panned out. That was injury, though. That wasn't that the kid busted.
All I hear about is Zach Flowers from BC. That would be fun. When's the last time?
Yeah, but 5'9". He's little.
When's the last time we took a guy from BC?
I think he's
like Ruth.
Oh,
he's terrific.
That kid that we had that's dead. Remember the kid there that they drafted in the second round and
Ron Brace.
Yeah.
Ron Brace.
Dead.
It's a complete bust.
Yeah, he was.
I love that kid, Zay Flowers. He's fantastic. I mean,
but with
really
him
good.
Thornton, they're back to the Smurfs.
Yeah, I don't know. The kid was just explosive, though. But I don't think they're could they trade down and pick him later? I don't think they're picking him at 14. Now, if they trade down and get another pick. Yeah, maybe. They're never going to pick him at 14, though.
Yeah, but I think he's a great receiver, but a lot of people are going to shy away from his size. He's very small to play pro football.
my question is, what have the Patriots done? And it's April 20th and they were 8-9 to change your viewpoint in any way, shape, or form that this team is going to be appreciably better than they were last year.
They hired a real offensive coordinator,
Yeah.
and they got rid of Matt Patricia. It seems like the Eagles picked up Matt Patricia. Did us a big favor, by the way.
Yeah.
So we hired a real offensive coordinator. We did get a tight end. I like the kid. I like the tight end.
Jasicki.
Yeah, Gesicki. I think that was a good move. And then it was really a matter of like mostly re-signing guys, right? I can't remember who else they added.
And Bryant, and they shored up the middle class. They kind of solidified the middle class, and now we're going to look to hopefully get some talent in the draft. The free agency, they mostly went for middle of depth guys.
How do you guys feel about, you go through your draft, you bring guys in, and then you fill the receiver thing with Hopkins. How do you feel about DeAndre Hopkins using next year's draft picks for Hopkins or something like that? No.
And I don't think they would. Bill O'Brien got rid of him before for nothing. He threw him.
But how would you feel about it? And whether you think they're going to, like, would that make you happy if they come out with an offensive lineman, cornerback, a linebacker, and you trade some picks either later this year or next year's for DeAndre Hopkins? Would you be satisfied going into the season with that, Scotty?
Yeah, I would, because we need a star. We need some star power.
He's washed up.
No, he's not.
Everyone was bad mouthing him over there in the NFC. Team Pops lost it.
And if you look at his stats for the games he played, it's pretty remarkable. And for the shitty quarterback that he had in Murray and then the replacement, he's a stud. Look, when we got Randy Moss for a 4th round pick, everyone thought he was tapped out. We got him for a 4th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
We need that type of move. You're only going to get a Hopkins. You're only going to get a guy like Dennis Johnson if there's trouble behind him. That's how you get these guys, and hopefully they come in here and they start. I think it's worth a chance. But Russ, I don't think you're going to have to give up anything. I think that they've shopped him. Nobody's interested, and they're going to cut him.
Yeah, I mean, you could throw a 4th rounder next year if you just need to do something with him. Like if they needed something for him, that's what you could do. Or it gets cut and they try to sign him.
But then you see what the Cardinals will take as far as salary goes. I mean, and there is, this guy comes with a big price.
Yeah, you give him, if you take on his salary, you're only giving him a 7th.
Yeah,
you take on some of the salary,
right. Yeah.
maybe you give him a 6th or a 5th.
Yeah, right.
But Beckham was a surprise. He got paid. So, Hopkins isn't going to take any discount at this point. So they're going to have to, the team that gets him is going to have to pay him.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we get some stud offensive tackle, Russ, we get Hopkins, we fill in, we have some nice draft picks, we get some speed on the defense. Yeah, a lot more positive going into the season, but we need some star power, guys.
We have playmakers on defense. As you can see, they were either 1st or 2nd in takeaways last year.
Well,
Gerard, so they have playmakers. They have playmakers.
Mayo just loves Bentley. I don't know, if they're dating, but I mean, my God, I don't know what he sees.
Did you hear the interview with Mayo the other day? He says, I don't know about you guys, but Steve Belichick's been calling the play since 2019, and we've had a pretty good defense. Yeah.
Oh, so Mayo sounds like a guy that already knows he's going to be the next head coach of the New England Patriots.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. And if
he can talk about the Belichick family, he's very secure in himself.
So do you think there has been a deal already done that Bill will yield to Mayo, but he's got to take care of his boys?
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, or if it's not a deal is done, you're a finalist for the job, right? You're a finalist for the job. That we can tell you.
Yeah, he withdrew his name from consideration at a couple interviews this year.
Has Kraft told him he's going to be the next head coach of the Patriots?
He's told him something.
No. Yeah, I don't think he's told him he is the next head coach.
Yeah,
but I
there's
think
no
he's told him
guarantees.
no guarantees, but wink, wink, you're going to be a finalist. And, you're right now, you're our guy. But you got to be careful about that, promising him that job this far in advance.
Things change from day to day
Mhm.
and definitely from
Yep.
year to year.
Yeah,
Yep.
because we have another candidate. His name is Bill O'Brien. If all of a sudden
Right.
that
Yeah.
And for years it was Josh McDaniel.
yeah, I mean, if Bill O'Brien turns around that offense at the end of next year, we're going to be talking about Bill O'Brien as the next head coach.
Yep.
Mhm.
No, there's no question.
I remember the year that we had Billy O'Brien as the offensive coordinator. They did very well.
Well, they had Tom Brady too, Joe.
Yeah.
I mean,
That does help. I'll give you
I
that.
think a little bit, maybe. All right, we got to go to the Boston Red Sox. We are what our record is. We said
500.
when we're making those predictions, we said this is a 500 team.
Yep.
It feels like the Atlanta Hawks. Where they had the Atlanta Hawks ended up 41-41, guys, and apparently like the last 20 games, I think, or something crazy, they just alternated.
Yeah.
Win, loss,
Yeah.
win, loss, win,
They
loss.
never
That's
won
right.
2 in a row or never lost 2 in a row for the whole
So
second
this
half
feels-
of the year.
Yeah, this feels like the Boston Red Sox are just gonna plod along all season, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. What has stood out? Excuse me. What has stood out to me? It's Verdugo. He looks like he is taking it to another level.
He has.
Yeah.
He's had. He led off today with the home run. So,
And he looks like he's in good shape.
Yeah.
he's playing a very nice right field too. I got to say.
The closer's been good.
Oh,
Which
fantastic!
is nice.
I hate to say
Right.
it, but Tanner Houck has been the
He's
stalwart
He's
of the
pitched well.
starting
Rafi's had a really nice year.
Yeah,
But
this
that's
team
about
hates
it.
Russell. They hate Russell because the two players that he hates the most, Houck and Duran, are actually playing well.
Well, Duran, what's he played? One game?
No, he's like 5 games. He's played well. I'm not
He
gonna.
stinks. Come on, he stinks. How looks like he's
Big double
figured it out
today.
a little bit.
He's going to
But
take
he
over for
stinks.
Mitchie Doubles.
Houck's been the best pitcher in the Red Sox.
He definitely.
Wow.
I have
It's not
to
saying-
admit
it's
it.
not
and I
saying
can't
much,
stand
Scotty.
it.
Not saying much.
Kenley
It was-
Jansen.
Today, I think, was the first time anyone gone into the 6th inning.
No, Whitlock went out. The game I was in, Whitlock went 7, 1 run.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he pitched very well. Kenley Jansen, a professional closer. He may be a guy that you can peddle at the deadline and
Yep.
get some good stuff for.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
He'd be valuable if he keeps up what he's doing.
Can I announce the trade to the New York Mets right now of Kenley Jansen?
For 3 prospects.
Yeah, right.
Does not look good. Are you one scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being most worried? Where are you on Casas right now?
Oh, I know that's a great question. Look, I think Casas is going to be a big star. I'm not worried at all. He's just
Okay, good.
So
Good.
again, this is a practice year. This year doesn't count. We're not going
He's got
anywhere.
a shit to get off the pot at the plate.
No, he doesn't, Joe. Just stop it. What are you going to do with him? What are you going to do with Tristan Cases, Joe? Are you going to cut him? You got to be kidding. He's got all the slack he has.
Scotty sounds about Casas like he did about Mac Daddy after the first year. He's all in on
No,
Tristan
I'm all in. This
He's-
kid.
and Jaron Duran and Michael Chambers.
Oh God, yeah.
No. This kid has figured it out. He will soon. This kid, he's
I
got
hope so.
all the tools. What do you think?
I'm rooting for him, but he's got. I'm rooting for him. I want him to be good. He does have to get some hits. Like, he just has to get hits at some point. Now, I agree. Honestly, I would be worried about him if we get to the end of July and he's hitting $170. Then I'm going to start to get worried. But give him 500 at bats in the major leagues before we make any sort of
Well,
judgment.
he's got to get the bat off his shoulder. That's one thing. He's got to start swinging.
but he just looks like a kid who's figuring it out. But he looks like, he's a smart kid. Physically, the guy has all the tools. He's a fantastic first baseman. I mean, this is just, again, we have to have some patience. We haven't had patience in this town in 20 years. A guy like Casas in the 90s, we would have been just very calm, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. It's just a different game. Like it used to be a guy couldn't hit, he'd hit 210 still. Now a guy doesn't hit and he's hitting $150. He's literally not hitting his weight.
I know, but his OBP, I would imagine, is pretty high though. He does get on base a lot. And the kid hits rockets. Look, he's not Bobby Dahlbeck. Would we admit that?
He's not going to be the strikeout machine that Bob. Although Bobby had a grand slam the other day, almost recovered from Paxton.
But to Joe's point, I mean, Casas might need to change his approach just a little, though. Because he's a big kid. He's going to be in the middle of the order. He's got to drive the ball. He's got to drive guys in, right? Otherwise, you might as well just bat him leadoff like John Olerud. Like fuck it, and that's who he is. Maybe he's John Olerud, and which is fine. John Olerud hit 320 a bunch of years in Major League Baseball.
Was flirting with 400 that one year.
Yeah,
well, I just
fine, but like I want him to drive the ball.
Casas may be one of the slowest foot guys in the league. He really is slow. I mean, Correa had a ball that I don't know if the infield hit that Casas got. Correa didn't throw it because he figured, well, the guy must be at first base, and he could have thrown Casas out. He does not move that well. But yeah, I'm not worried about that. But great question, Russell. The next guy in line, Yoshida. Are we worried about him?
Nah, got to give him 250 at bats in the majors to get adjusted. I don't know. Like, I think you're right. I think they're a 500 team. I might win my bet. They may win 86. They may win 78. But they just look like a 500 team, right?
Yeah. They're
going to win. Yeah.
There's nobody coming back. Story's not walking through that door anytime soon.
No.
Duvall.
Chang hasn't been bad at shortstop. And that gets Kike out of there because he was awful.
Yeah, it's just like, God, why am I having to watch Yu Chang, Jaron Dirt? Like this is the Boston Red Sox, and we're watching guys like
team.
Yu Chang and Jaron Duran and
Justin
dudes
Turner, washed up Justin Turner.
Tapia. Who the hell?
Oh my God!
Please,
these guys.
What are we doing here? I mean, Chaim's gone, right? Chaim's gone June 15th. Probably something like that. Something like that. If these guys, if Paxton doesn't pan out, if Kluber doesn't pan out, are they gonna let Chaim tear this team apart at the deadline? Why would you let give Chaim the car keys? He's already run the fucking car into the telephone pole twice.
Well, all right. I mean, if they win 81 games, Chaim's not going anywhere.
If they win 81 games, Chaim's not. Oh, I do really think so.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that dramatic. I think he gets fired if all of a sudden they're 10 games under 500 and people are noticing. But a 500 team, I'm telling you, in this town right now with the Red Sox, that's where the expectations are. I don't know. He's not getting run out of any town.
And when they're not playing the American League East as much this year, they can make hay against those other divisions. They got some crap in those other divisions.
Boy, he is your BFF, isn't he?
No, he's not. I want him literally fired right now. Literally, I don't want him on the team at all. I don't want him.
Okay, good.
He deleted that picture from his phone.
That. I mean, look at that. I mean, just what we talked about in the thread a few days ago. How do you not sign Walker and then give the same money to Kluber and Paxton?
Yeah,
right.
How do you do that?
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, you can't. I'm not blaming Chris Sale on him, but Paxton's his guy. Kluber's his guy.
Turner.
These relievers are his. Justin Turner, like that's his team on the field right now. Like everything. Dombrowski's all that's been washed out of the system, other than Chris Sale, pretty much.
Yeah,
that's his team. Go position by position.
And putting Whitlock as a starter is his decision.
Yeah.
I mean, that feels like that comes from above.
Well, I think his hands are kind of tied there because that rotation's in such shambles.
Who saves the Red Sox? What is there any player that saves the Red Sox right now?
Shohei Ohtani
Yes.
as a, you know, that's who saves the Red Sox.
You have to be all in on him.
I think that's their end game. I just feel that that's what they're going for him.
Look, if I know this is not going to happen, but if Sale actually pitched well the next few months, could you could pawn him off at the deadline?
Sure.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
can't be too much left of that contract. So
But
we
There's
more
not a
year
lot
after this?
left.
the liability that he would have
Yeah.
been.
Russ, is there one more year after this?
I think one more year after this one is
Yeah,
probably
that's the end of the
about
extent.
right. Yeah.
You see, Arizona get rid of Madison Bumgarner,
Bumgarner.
and they're
Is
eating,
that right? Yeah.
like 40 million because they
Yeah.
didn't
At some point in time, they'll do it. If he doesn't pitch well and they can't sell him, they'll cut him. But probably not this year.
Bumgarner's been worse than Sale, I think.
Yeah.
But the finance, it's 60 million. It's for 10 years for Ohtani.
Yeah. Right.
It's
I would think. I mean, you're probably starting at 50 and moving up for a while, but like they need another star. How many guys do you stop to watch? Devers. I'm kind of interested in Yoshida. That's it.
Cases.
Think
I
about the
watch
old
I watch cases.
cases,
too.
right? Whatever. But like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you'd stop when Manny or you would stop everything to watch 3-4 guys hit in a row every single time around the order, right?
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
You still love to watch Dustin Pedroia hit the ball, right?
I
All
used
those
to
guys.
sit in,
Mookie.
sit in the driveway when I got home to continue so I
Mookie.
could listen to the
Right.
at bat of Poppy.
Right. I mean, there's really one guy. Like I don't want to miss a Devers at bat. I'll go to the bathroom during anybody else's at bat right now.
But this team is a lot different if Xander's on it.
I don't think they're that much better. It's last year's team,
Yeah.
but just galling that
But it's
Xander's
not.
out in San Diego. He's, hitting home runs and being who he is. And we just have like Yu Chang is playing freaking shortstop for us guys instead
Oh
of
my-
Xander Bogaerts. It's horrifying.
But no, it's not. I mean, think about it. We have Yoshida, we have Cases, we have Justin Turner, we have McGuire. This is a different team from last year.
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
But you know,
Kenley
and you add
Jansen?
it would be, it'd be better. Look, it'd be better. Period. End of discussion. They certainly didn't count on Trevor Story blowing out his UCL.
Yeah.
That they didn't count on. They should have known, but they didn't count on that. And that's the thing that really screwed them this year.
I think everyone else in baseball knew it. That's why no one else offered him a contract.
All right, I'm going to tell you guys something. I've been watching him. I actually kind of like Connor Wong. I think actually Connor Wong, I can see he's a very athletic guy. He's pretty good. I know he's
For a catcher,
tall.
he certainly is.
He's very athletic. The guy, I actually think that he could be a legitimate player. I can see what Heim saw in him. Not obviously
Yeah.
the level of the Verdugo. If Verdugo ends up playing well, are you a little calmer, Russ, in the whole Mookie Betts deal?
No, not even close to being calmer. Connor Wong is a guy who's going to play catcher
He's
60
a
games a
backup
year,
catcher.
70 games a
He's
year.
backup catcher.
Never going to be an all-star. We didn't get an all-star back.
No,
We traded a top 5 player. We didn't get an all-star back.
we got Verdugo's Chart Nixon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but not an all-star.
yeah. Mookie's an MVP.
I know. Can you imagine that we got it? And Justin Turner, I can't watch play anymore.
No, I think that was a bad mistake. He's JD Drew incarnate.
And just so you know, before we go, Xander has been incredible. He's the best player on the Padres. Right? And you knew he would play well early on because, again, going to the National League, it's the weaker of the leagues.
They always look good going that way, and the National League is usually look bad coming this way
Yeah,
for a year anyway.
Um,
The first year.
it's going to be rough.
Well,
It's going to be rough.
before we go, I'm telling you, they're banging out that place. I don't know. It looked like the crowd. I look like a
Looked
sellout.
like a
You
full
think they're
crowd
papering
today.
are they papering the house? You think? I mean, are they just dumping tickets?
Well, it's school vacation, so there was
Oh,
lots of
okay,
kids,
yeah.
so they probably had.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was banged out all weekend. I was at Saturday and Sunday's games, and those games were sold out. And then Fridays was sold out, and then I think Mondays, obviously, Patriots Day always has a sellout too. So Sam Kennedy was kind of right. They actually are selling. But yeah, that college tickets, they're $9. Because I was talking to a college student,
Yeah.
and she gets
Yeah.
some tickets, so they're $9. So they do.
They went up from 6, huh? That's a big price.
Yeah.
It's 50% increase.
But a lot of these kind of, not that great Red Sox fans do buy those tickets. The kids do that for a night out. So it's definitely paper in the house, but it is getting the young people involved, and we love to see
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Well, that makes for a better crowd. I think the crowds the last couple of years have gotten better and better. There's a little bit more of an edge. It's more like a Celtics crowd.
Yeah,
You
you
know?
see the Patriots Day during the rain out, all the kids in the bleachers took their shirts off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
yeah. So there's like 500 kids with no shirts on. So that's like the
And
1970s.
dancing to the Bruins goal song there.
Yeah, so fun stuff. Well, that was a great show. Well, of course, we missed JP's first son, Tim Hoey. He's
Yep.
going presenting an award tonight at the UMass Boston banquet. So he's a big shot. Hopefully, he'll come back next week. All right, and we'll see him. So thank you guys for joining us. My name is Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night.
How's
All
things
right.
on the West Coast there?
Thanks,